Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Social Shifters podcast. I am joined by John, CEO and co-founder of Foris Labs, and one of the winners of the Global Education Challenge, proudly supported by Fitch Group. And what a pleasure it is to have you, John. First of all, how are you doing?
Very well, Jeremiah. It's a pleasure to jump on this podcast with you.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for joining. So, how did you feel when you found out you're one of the winners?
First of all, I would say that when I saw the video of the finalists in the education category, I was like, oh, I didn't know what chances we actually had, and but getting that email that one of the winners was so fulfilling for me, especially right now as we are about to run out of runway, while also raising funds for our business. It was so fulfilling.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're going through that fundraising process at the moment, did you say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Are you a first-time entrepreneur?
No, so before Foris Labs, I was building another edtech company, which is currently still working, which is Temnova NG. And basically, what we do at Temnova NG is that we help schools in Southeastern Nigeria to include coding, robotics, and entrepreneurship in their curriculum. So we send our tutors to the school, we develop the curriculum, and then we also go like with all the tools to empower students with skills in coding, robotics, and entrepreneurship. And yeah, that was a certain journey before studying Forest Labs.
Oh wow, so yeah, you're a bit of a seasoned entrepreneur. And the reason I think I asked you is because as you said, you're going through the look at the fundraising process. I was thinking like as a kind of, young entrepreneur, if you're where do you even look and where do you start with something like that to raise funds?
Yeah, we started doing Forest Labs in 2020, and since then till now, we've not raised any equity funding. It has been bootstrapping all the way, family and friends, and then a couple of grants here and there. So right now we are, basically looking at doing our pre-seed round. They always like get us like, that place that we actually want to be. And I think, no time is better than now. So the process is not like we just started raising funds. We've put in our own money, our sweat, collected from family and friends and their grants.
Oh, amazing. What set you on your path as a social entrepreneur? If you're a superhero, how would you tell your origin story?
I'd say that my journey into social entrepreneurship was never planned. It actually happened to me by chance.
Okay.
Yes, that's my story. So I had finished high school, I was doing university, but when that was happening, I was, retained by my alma mater to, basically help out and teach in the class since they had like shortage of teachers. And I remember that day when I came to school, on one of the weekends, I came back from school, I went to the school, and they were sharing with me that there is this national entrepreneurship competition that they're preparing for, and that the school had been invited to, the nation's capital to contest for the national prize in entrepreneurship. And none of the teachers in the school knew anything about entrepreneurship. Nobody wanted to like jump on it. And at that point, I was like, hey, I'm not gonna let this opportunity slip. Jumped on lots of entrepreneurship videos, learning how to pitch, how to write business plans and stuff. But long story cut short is that I got the students prepared for that competition, which of course they went there and they did so awesomely well. But my journey then didn't stop there because I had that urge to learn more about this social entrepreneurship stuff. And even while doing that, I saw like the gaps in education in my community. The fact that we are not really preparing children for the future of work,
Yeah.
and that was how it started for me. And I would say that I even got my first check before I started my first business. So I get my first grant of 1 million naira before I started my first business. And that actually came from volunteering to like teach children,
Wow.
how to do this entrepreneurship stuff. Yeah, that was how I basically took the knowledge I got while preparing students, applied for a pitching competition, got selected, won the grant. And then I started my first company, Stemnova NG, with that money. Yeah, and then from there, the pandemic happened. Schools were locked down. So we are thinking about how our students actually, working through this
Yeah.
um, e-learning stuff. So
Yeah.
we called a couple of students to a meeting that day, and then we asked that simple question: How's learning going for you? For the art students, it was great. It was going fine. But for the science students, one of the students raised up her hands and she said, "Learning is looking impossible for me." And
Yes.
that was when the chord struck for me. I asked why. She said that for other students, it's easier because they don't require practical. But science is something that requires you to like interact with it in real life, conduct experiments to be able to internalize the knowledge. So at that point, I thought my co-founder, because I built my other company with my, I thought if classes could move online, if classes could move virtual, why not labs? We went online to research. We saw somebody was already doing that in Asia, in Europe. But the truth is that what they are currently doing is not contextual for Africa. It
Yeah.
doesn't match our curriculum. It doesn't even resonate with our cultural ways of learning. So we thought
Okay.
we need to do something perfectly suited for Africa, matching our curriculum, and that enables us to like improve learning outcomes for children. That was how Foris Labs was started.
Yeah, so that's an amazing origin story. You saw an issue and you began to tackle it. So like I guess you kind of touched on it there, but like what you say the biggest issue that you're tackling with Foris Labs? Because I know you mentioned the pandemic and stuff there, but yeah, how would you summarize that?
Yeah. So like there are two key issues. When I was teaching in that school, I was opportunity to handle a chemistry class. After my first term teaching that class, I was shocked to learn that 70% of my students dropped out of the science class.
Wow.
They moved into the arts.
Wow.
And the question becomes why? For students like that, studying science in a school like that without laboratories, without the equipment, is a straight ticket to failure because they can't memorize, they can't understand those things. That's one, the issue of lack of engagement, lack of um, tools, effective teaching aids to be able to like practice science in the real sense. And the second is we're not asking questions of there are a lot of information out there consuming children's time on social media and otherwise. How do we keep children engaged,
Hmm.
like to continue to find learning fun and to basically stay engaged with learning science? And yeah, so that it comes from the front of lack of equipment, teaching aids, and then from the front of how do we keep children engaged and learn to find science learning fun and also how to improve their learning outcomes in science courses.
Can you talk to us more about Foris Labs, the project, and the impact it's having so far? Because it's an amazing, it's amazing what you're doing, and even the origin story and everything you've said so far has been brilliant.
Yeah, so Foris Labs is, I like to describe Foris Labs as the, say, COD, Call of Duty, Game of Thrones for science courses, right? So what we basically do is we take all those complex science concepts in chemistry, in physics, in biology, and we break them down into tiny biteable chunks through games. So for example, we take acid-base titration. That's science experiment that is very bulky and students find it boring. And we make it more enticing through games in the sense that hey, allow students to be able to like own avatars in the lab, move around the lab, our virtual lab, move equipment and stuff like that, even collect gems, collect badges, like have leaderboards and stuff, answer daily trivias. So like these are things that Foris Lab does, like engage students in science learning. So with Foris Labs, those students need like those students is now going to cry, hey, there's no science laboratory because you have the science laboratory right in your pocket anytime you need it. So for example, you are reading acid-base titration and you're finding the theory very, very like difficult to understand or grasp, get on Foris Labs, you're already practicing the experiment and everything just begins to like sink right in. And that's the impact I begin to see in the schools where we work, that there is a very great like increase in the number of students jumping into the sciences. And what we do with the schools we work, where in the schools where we work, so we develop what we call Foris Lab spaces. And what we basically do with that, many of the schools here have computer laboratories. So what we do is that on their computer, the laptops in their computer labs, we install Foris Labs. So students now, just like they have computer practice times, they have science practice times.
I
So
like
when
that.
the students see science students jumping into the computer lab to have their science practice time, basically playing games, that's that enthusiasm. So we've seen increased number of students going into the sciences. With what we're actually testing out right now through our current pilot to verify is to be able to put a number around how this really improves learning outcomes. Even though we've had like personal testimonial, but I don't think we have enough data to like say that hey, this is the percentage increase in learning outcomes. But we've seen in some of the schools where we work a 40% increase in number of students getting into the sciences. Now we're working to verify, how it actually impacts the learning process for those students.
No, that's really cool. So you want to like quantify it. So really
Yeah.
smart when you think about like gamification, because people tend to love games, especially children, young people. And what gave you the inspiration for like gamifying this learning? Are you a big gamer yourself? Are the team gamers? And you thought, okay, let's translate that into Foris Labs, that leveling up, leaderboards, and unlocking just like that sounds like you said, like COD, like Call of Duty, all these different games. Yeah, where did that gamification inspiration come from?
Yeah, I mean, like growing up from the like southeastern part of Nigeria, the Igbo tribe particularly, it's a cultural thing that we will learn how to like do 1+1 with games, basically playing with pebbles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's something that comes naturally to us growing up. And outside that, like when as I told you when I was teaching, I noticed that something that really stuck with my students was when, for example, when I was teaching them, like I was teaching them hydrocarbons, and we basically had to use beads and straws, like illustrate, the structure, chemical structure of various elements, various compounds. I saw that, hey, that period, that time frame of fixing the beads and the straws, students found it very enticing and fun. Was one of another thing that actually told us, hey, told me, hey, this is the route to go. And my co-founder, Kieran, is a very serious gamer. Yeah, he's a very, very serious gamer, not me. And yeah, so like when we're having those ideation processes, no one's saying, hey, here we need to like have leaderboard. We think we need another badge. We need to collect gems at this point and stuff like that. Yeah, so but that's how the idea of gamification came.
So how many are you in your team?
Currently about 11 persons on the team,
Amazing.
11 full-time staff on the team.
And so I love the website, by the way. It's very, very slick, very slick.
Thank you.
What's the biggest challenge you face so far? Because entrepreneur journey is filled with hurdles that you're trying to hop over and jump over these hurdles at all time. What's been your biggest challenge so far, and what have you learned from it?
My biggest challenge in building Foris Labs was achieving product market fit. I
Okay.
can tell you that we built over 27 versions of Foris Labs.
Wow.
Where I told that like just gains like scream before we could even say that hey, we have something that students can use. And at that point it became so frustrating. 2020, we are building up, yet our product was not like driving, like was not making any sense to us, our customers. But one thing that we kept doing was, we are building and testing, building and testing and building and testing. So that process was a very long process. And where you don't have external funding and where you just like bootstrapping at that point, even members of the team, because they want you to build fast, they want to grow fast, and they want to get to a point where you're able to like, get everybody paid and stuff like that. So we got to a point where the team was about to like almost gonna break up. Everybody was almost gonna pack up, go their way, and just let Foris Labs just die off. So, but that's Foris Labs that really taught me the skills of like staying on, never giving up, adaptability, and also listening, hearing what the market says, and following that instead of what your mind wants you to do. And the
Mm.
beautiful thing that I like to tell people is that, hey, we passed through this crazy process, but since we started Foris Labs to date, we've achieved 100% employee retention rate. And it's so amazing for me. That's something I'm very, very grateful about.
That's amazing. The company culture and everything you're doing must be brilliant to have that 100% retention. So well done. Shout out. For real.
Thank you so much.
What's your vision, John, for Foris Labs? Like, where do you want this to go? Where do you want to take it next 5 years, 10 years, however far ahead you're thinking? Where would you like it to be?
It's actually very, very crazy that some of the times when I explain that on team meetings, everybody's just like, so, but the goal is this. Right now, we are working with senior secondary schools. We are doing chemistry, biology, and physics. But every day when we go for exhibitions, when we meet people, they're telling us various areas where this can actually be applied to. Enabling people to learn skills, barbing skills, helping them to learn makeup, helping them learn how to cook, even in Tibet, like traditional and vocational educational training. We are seeing where these things can actually be, implied. So the big dream for us at the end of the day is a point where we don't just have Foris Labs, Foris Labs for chemistry, Foris Labs for physics, but a point where we have Foris Labs for barbers, Foris Labs for makeup artists, Foris Labs for the various vocational skills. Because at the end of the day, the land is very, very green, and we have a lot of land to conquer. Skills must be learned. People must get useful for the workforce, and Africa must grow.
So if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self just before you started Foris Labs, what one piece of advice would you give to your younger self before starting Foris Labs?
Yeah, my advice, I mean, you mean something I've done wrong, but I think it's something I've done right. But I'll still give myself that same advice. Never focus on classes, never focus on school alone. Go into the field, grab experience, volunteer with organizations, do like charity work because like one thing I've noticed is that most of the skills I'm using at Foris Labs today are skills I got while volunteering for NGOs, volunteering at my school and stuff like that. So I just encourage myself never to stop and to continue to like take every opportunity to learn and grow very fast.
I love that volunteering, taking every opportunity to learn and going fast. I guess like how did you and Kieran meet? Those waves of, adversity and things coming, like how does that whole dynamic? How did you meet?
Yeah, so I attended the same secondary school with Kieran, but I left that school after my second year.
Yes.
So for the next 5 years, we lost connection.
Yes.
And one of the days when I was about to start, when I was working with an NGO, we were calling for volunteers. Ben had just messaged me on link on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I'm interested." And that was where the conversation actually reignited itself from. Basically from there, we've gone to build our first company, which is doing very, very well in revenue and everything, numbers. And now we're also doing Foris Labs. And one that says, advise founders to do whenever they're looking for co-founders is find somebody that can be your friend, but at the same time, a very great business partner. Because I know that most of the times, co-founder relationship goes beyond the contracts that you sign, the agreement, the MOUs and stuff. It goes deeper into your interpersonal relationship fabrics. Because at that point, I think the question you need to ask yourself is this somebody I want to wake up in the middle of the night and call and talk to? Is this somebody I want to like talk to every morning? Because at the end of the day, take it or leave it, I even talk to my co-founder more than I talk to my siblings. And that shows you how deep the relationship is. So I'd say find a person who is your friend, and at the same time, make sure you regularize things as quick as fastly as possible. Even if you're not get that agreement signed, but at the same time, ensure that the interpersonal relationship is something that is there and that you guys just watch out for yourself. And one other thing is communication is very, very important. Yeah. You also always need to be sure because some of the times, for example, my co-founder is, I'd say he's an introvert. So most of the times he's more likely to not like air his grievances and stuff like that. Yeah. But asking that question all the time, even when you're on the conversation table, asking, are you really okay with this? Is this something you think will work? Is this something you're not telling me? You need to like go that step further to like get all those details out. Because at the end of the day, you want to be sure that you're doing something that that all parties across board agree with. Because any startup that's gonna fail is gonna start from the founder's relationship.
100. Yeah. Oh, I love that, and I like how you said about using the questions to draw out your partner, your co-founder, if they've got a certain personality or character type. So, what kind of roles? Who handles what between you and Kieran? Like, what do you handle with a new organization? What does he kind of handle?
So, on my own end, I'm the one who has experience in education and business development. So everything operations, everything getting the curriculum ready, handling the teachers who create content and every other thing, business marketing, like it's on my table. But everything relating to like technical stuff, building out the product, managing the developers, the team, technical team is on Kieran.
Okay, that's very cool. So what if on that, because you said you get a lot of questions about founders and stuff and co-founders. If you were to start another company today, you didn't have Kieran and all the amazing team members you have, and you had to look for a new person, how would you go around trying to find that new co-founder to start building with?
For me, various will have what works for them, but for me, I'm going to start from my old circles. I'm going to go back to like my secondary school days. What is this person doing today? Because those are the people you know their character. You know them over the years. You don't need to start learning them. I mean, entrepreneurship is startup is about two things. It's about innovation. It's about very speedy growth. So I don't think you want to spend a lot of time trying to like just understand your co-founder first of all. Those are things that you should have done before you even get into innovating. So I would go back to my old circle, begin to check who is doing what, who's compatible with me. And outside that, I'll attend a lot of events because that's where a lot of the magic actually happens. conferences, webinars? Are you joining like communities, techies communities and stuff like that? I'll go to a lot of communities. And I don't think I'm going to start out discussing co-founding with somebody on the first meet or something like that. I must have met that person over and over and over and over again. And my own secret tip will be, first of all, try to build friendship with that person.
Yeah.
See how it works. If friendship works for you guys are going to be perfect co-founders to some extent if you are like able to control your emotions and other things. So three things I would do. First of all, check old circles. Second, I'll attend a lot of events, webinars, and I will check a lot of the communities that I actually belong to or join new ones. And then next one, I'm going to try to like be sure that this is somebody I can be friends with. This is somebody I'm happy to talk with any time of the day. And this is somebody that's ready to like help at any point that I'm in need or what we are building is in need.
No, I love that. That's great. And like you've also got an amazing team where you said with your 100% retention rate, which is incredible. How did you find all these amazing people to join the team?
60% of the people on the team, I had known them before I started doing Foris Labs.
Okay.
So it was easier for them to like believe in my dream with my co-founder. And so it's either I knew the person or my co-founder knew the person. So it happens that way. And the other 40%, we met them via like what we call for applications, LinkedIn and stuff like that. But one thing is, it's very important to define the company culture very, very clearly at the beginning. So for us, our company culture, even a lot of people are calling out that culture on social media and saying that, hey, that's the culture behind treating employees very badly. But that works for us. We don't treat anybody badly, but the family culture is something that works very, very well for us, where everybody on the team sees themselves as friends, basically. So, and even like outside, the question then becomes, when you come to Foris Labs today, you barely be able to like say who's the CEO because everybody is just like doing things together. I will try to remove all those bureaucratic bottlenecks. I think
Yeah.
that's where it actually starts, where people are afraid to like communicate things to you. Because right now, for example, my staff can call me in the middle of the night when he's walking, writing some lines of code to say, hey, I don't like what's going on with me and this person. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to like end up judging the other person outrightly. We're just going to like settle that as a family. So I
Yeah.
think that's something that's very, very important, ensuring that you maintain like great emotional relationship between all members of the team and ensuring that, hey, everybody can be friends even outside just coming to take their paychecks from the company.
No, John, that's very good, man. You seem very emotionally intelligent and including your answers there about company culture, treating everyone, making everyone feel welcome, trying to keep it relatively flat. All of these things there, and like you said, a lot of people are getting called out for their company culture online and social media. So it's good to hear that you've got a positive, nice, healthy one going. Do you get people speaking to you about mentorship, like other first-time founders or young entrepreneurs coming to you to ask you to mentor them?
Yeah, I've had people coming to me to mentor them, but the truth is that right now I'm even like following mentors. So what I do most of the times is just provide like advice and support as much as like the much I can. Um, yeah, so I'm able to like answer questions, make introductions, connect you with people, and basically talk you through my experience.
Yeah.
But basically that process of keeping somebody like an entrepreneur in residence and just like I I don't accept that because I feel like I'm even learning from amazing platforms like social shifters and yeah. So, but when we get there, when we become that spot successful, I'm very, very happy to like begin to take people like people by their hand.
No, I
But currently I do that, but basically in form of advice, introductions, connections, not like a really long mentorship line.
And if anyone wants to support Foris Labs, how can they get involved in any way? Because they might have heard this, but that is an amazing thing. How can they get involved?
There are actually very various ways. The first one and the most important one to us is help us get to more kids out there. Introduce us to a school that is ready to do a pilot program. Sponsor students to get access to this platform. Introduce us to teachers who can from various countries who can tell us, hey, this is how to tweak your curriculum to fit our you know, our curriculum. And another thing is that, hey, we are raising funds, we are raising our visit round, and feel free to like write us or go to our website. So
Okay.
any country in West Africa is able to use our content right now.
And where can anyone listening to this, find Foris Labs online to continue to keep up to date with the journey and get in contact if they want to help in any way.
Yeah, www.forislabs.com. You are free to book a demo on the website and then all our social media handles, Foris Labs. So check that, you have us right there.
Amazing. Thank you. We'll definitely be sure to link all of them in the description as well. Thank you so much, John, for telling your inspiring stories. I'll be following along and supporting any way I can for Foris Labs because it's really, really cool what you're up to. And I thank you for telling your story and congratulations again to you and the team.
Thanks so much, Jemai. It's been an awesome time. Very happy to tell my story on this platform.
If you want to learn more about social shifters and how we can help you to impact the social or environmental issues that matter to you most, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find us on Instagram and Spotify.